Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee Rankings Media Teleconference. Our host for today's call is Brett Daniels. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. I would now like to turn the call over to your host. Brett, you may begin.
Thank you, Jen. I'd like to welcome everybody to the fourth College Football Playoff Selection Committee teleconference for the 2022 season. Joining us again here tonight will be Bill Hancock, the Executive Director of the College Football Playoff, along with Boo Corrigan, the College Football Playoff Selection Committee Chair. As a reminder to everyone on the line, we are transcribing tonight's call, and we'll post that transcript on CUTigers.com shortly after the conclusion of this teleconference. At this time, we'll go right on into our question and answer segment. So, Jen, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad now. You will be placed into the queue in the order received. Please be prepared to ask your question when prompted. Once again, if you have a question, please press star 1 on your phone now. And our first question tonight will come from Trevor Groves, CUTigers.com.
We have a nice Thanksgiving. A two-part question. First, I'm trying to get my head around LSU being ranked ahead of Clemson. They each have a blowout loss. LSU to Tennessee, Clemson, Notre Dame, both top 15 teams. But LSU has that loss, virtual home loss to Florida State, a team that Clemson beat on the road. How much do you consider common opponents as far as ranking those two teams? And then the second part, we talked about it. You told me a few weeks ago that the committee values that Clemson win over NC State as a legitimate top 10, top 15 win because they had Devin Leary at that time. Nobody in the national media is giving Clemson any credit for that win as a quality win. Does the committee continue to value that win over NC State as a top 10 or top 15 win?
Well, let me try to take the first one. Again, we're looking for growth during the course of the season. And LSU, since that loss to Florida State, in the way that they've played and the way they've continued to improve, the win over Alabama, the convincing win over Mississippi, are two things that we've really looked at. With regard to Clemson, it does matter. 6-1 against teams over 500. The two ranked teams are in there. But as we look at it in the comparable to the Notre Dame loss in South Bend, 35-14, and how that game kind of went down as each member of the committee who's watching it and studying it and looking at everything came back with the conclusion that we saw LSU at 5 and Clemson at 8.
And our next question will come from Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com.
Hi, Boo. How much conversation or debate is there among the committee members about TCU being higher, either ahead of Michigan at number 3 or possibly all the way up to number 2 over Ohio State?
There's conversation. It's every week we go through it and make sure that the first thing we do is look at 1 through 4 and make sure that we're comparing it and looking at the games from the previous week, as well as both offense and defense. And when you look at the balance of Ohio State, the balance of Michigan, TCU is 8-0 against teams above 500, which is really impressive and has been impressive to the committee. But again, as we look at that their ability to come back in games where to a large degree Ohio State and Michigan have not. And as I said last week, that win over Notre Dame by Ohio State is, an impressive second win on top of the Penn State win.
And our next question will come from Matt Murschel from Orlando Sentinel.
Hey, Boo, thanks for doing this. I wanted to ask about UCF. They lost to Navy this weekend. What kind of discussion was there about keeping UCF in the top 25, and how close was it?
Yeah, still two really good wins over Tulane and over Cincinnati. You know, the defense has been strong. The 17-14, loss to Navy, where Navy controls the ball, right? You know, it's a different kind of game that you're playing in that respect. But they've had a really good season. Coach Malzahn's done a really good job. And clearly there's a lot of respect from the committee for UCF to drop 2 spots.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll hear next from Eric Hall with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hi, I'm curious, should we get to the point that we're comparing a one-loss Clemson to a one-loss Big Ten team, how did the committee decide to put Louisville in the top 25 over Illinois or Purdue or Iowa or Minnesota when particularly Illinois and Purdue have a common opponent with Louisville that they both fared better than Louisville did?
Yeah, Louisville has won 5 of their last 6 games. They're 5-3 against teams ranked above 500. They also have that win over UCF. 2 of their losses were to Florida State and Clemson, and they're comparable in making sure that we're going through the teams, quite frankly, that are in that 7-4 area, and making sure that we're doing all we can to figure out which ones deserve in there. But again, there's no talk of conference or any of that in what we're doing. We're trying to find the best 25 teams.
And as a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, you may signal by pressing star 1 at this time. And we'll go next to Will Vanderborg from Clemson Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, but thanks for letting us do this. Wanted to ask you, how do you value Clemson's resume overall? And then also, when the committee looks at this, the value of a one-loss conference champion, and then also how you guys value a one-loss non-conference champion?
Well, in our protocol, conference championships are part of what we talk about. So from that standpoint, clearly not going to project forward as it relates to that. But a really good football team, I think it's trying to figure out what stands out for them. Really good defensive line, really good defensively. With what they've done, 6-1 against teams over 500. And again, I know this can sound repetitive, but in watching them, you're looking for something that makes them different, makes them stand out. In that respect, Coach Sweeney's done a great job again this year with his team, but the committee views them as the number 18.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Tony Girdman from Buckeye Huddle.
Hey, Boo, what is separating USC and LSU right now? USC with just a one loss by 1 point.
Well, we talked a lot about it, is what I would say before anything else, and made sure that it wasn't a single conversation. It came up over and over again to make sure, and there's reasons for both teams. But the committee at the end of the day saw the wins over Alabama and Mississippi as stronger than the wins over UCLA and Oregon State. But one area we still have questions on is the strength of the defense of USC, and looking at it in its entirety, we believe that LSU deserves to be ranked 5 in SC6.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Heather Dinich from ESPN.
I was wondering if you could go into any more specifics about what you want to see from USC's defense, and I also wanted to ask you what the committee thinks about Clemson's offense specifically.
Well, as the SC defense projecting into what it is, but again, when you look at that game, and what a great game it was, right? 48-45. I think we're looking for a stronger showing by the defense. as a committee, a more dominant win in those situations to continue to move forward. Will Shipley from Clemson, is a dynamic player for them. I think they've had some maybe a little bit of ups and downs with regards to the quarterback position that we've talked about in the room. But again, a really good team that's had a really good year, and through week 12, that's our evaluation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
And we'll hear next from Matthew Loftus from Blue Ring Sports.
Hi, gentlemen. Thank you so much for doing this. I was wondering if any conversation came up during your debates about LSU taking on UAB or Bama playing Austin Peay this late in the season, while you have teams like USC playing at the Rose Bowl against UCLA or Oregon hosting Utah. I know that it got a lot of flack on Saturday when Joel Platt was saying, give me a break, what a joke about, teams playing, quote unquote cupcakes this late in the season. But I wondered if any of that came up in any of your debates this week.
We're really looking at the whole body of work. We're in week 12. People have played different people throughout the season, some stronger than others. And our goal really is to look at the whole resume at this point and make sure that we're evaluating the entire resume instead of one single data point that you can get sucked into at times, and make sure that we're making the bigger, broader decision that we have to make, and make sure we get that right based on, being through week 12.
Your next question comes from Andrew Sagona from Reddit CFP.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Glad to hear that. So my question is, how much weight did the committee give to Hendon Hooker's injury when ranking Tennessee?
Yeah, when you think about the game, it was 49-31 at the time when he went out of the game. And all we can do is evaluate from, the start of the game to the end of the game, if you will. So while it clearly affected Tennessee at that point, it was 49-31. If I remember correctly, they had a short field as a result of that, and soon after that went up 56-31. So again, something that we did all acknowledge in the room, but it wasn't something that drove us to a different conclusion.
Okay, thank you very much, and have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Okay, with that, it looks like we've wrapped up tonight's call. Now, with further questions, I'd like to thank everyone for their participation. Again, we'll post a transcript of tonight's call shortly on collegepressbox.com, and look forward to seeing everyone next week. The ranking show on ESPN will take place again at 6 p.m. Central, and this media teleconference will start at 6:45. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving.
And this concludes today's conference call. Thank you for attending.